The Legend of Zelda is the greatest game of all time. But which ones? And in which order? This show is usually a list of my top 25 favorite whatevers, but not this time. This episode is a carefully constructed ranking of all the entries in the Legend of Zelda series, minus the multiplayers and spin-offs. My criteria was the quality of its time, the quality today, what it contributed to the series, and to the industry. And I gotta say, I think I nailed it. Because I'm NintenDopeman, and these are the Dopest Zeldas. Number 15, Adventure of Link. In a direct sequel to the very first game, Link saves an ancient Zelda from an ancient slumber. The black sheep of the series is too frustrating, too different, and the least popular. But the 2D platformer RPG thingy is still a Zelda, sorta. And it's contributed the Magic Meter, Dark Link, the Triforce of Courage, and this classic number. Number 14, Phantom Hourglass. In a direct sequel to The Wind Waker, the hero of Wind sails the world of the Ocean King to save Tetra and discover a newfound land. Phantom ranks a notch above Zelda 2 thanks to graphics, premise, and ship construction, but relatively low due to its touchscreen controls and casual approach. Number 13, Spirit Tracks. Taking place 100 years later, Link engineers his way through a new world to save Zelda from a new villain, Malladus. It suffers from the same problems as its predecessor, but is elevated a smidge higher because of an interesting new train mechanic and Nation of New Hyrule. Number 12. The Legend of Zelda, the OG, in which a boy named Link saves a princess named Zelda from a pig demon named Ganon. If this was a list of the most watershed games, this would top that bad boy without a blink. Not only did it set the template of Zelda games from overworlds and dungeons to characters and settings to items and the theme song, but it defined the framework for open worlds and action-adventure games before those terms even existed. It was the first game where you were just given an avatar and let loose in a virtual world. But it hasn't aged well, and is one of the harder and less exciting games in the series when held up against the others. It's like a silent movie, historically significant, but hard to revisit when you can just watch Pulp Fiction. Number 11, A Link Between Worlds. Basically a link to the past with better graphics, a different story, a wall painting mechanic, and a gameplay emphasis on depth perception thanks to its stereoscopic console of origin. A Link Between Worlds is super good, but super similar to rank any higher. Number 10, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. After saving Hyrule, Link is trialed to the lands of Holodrum and Labrina to save the Oracles Din and Nehru from Onyx and Viren, respectively. If I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Seasons because I like the Subrosians, and Seasons are a fresher gameplay gimmick after time travel was already done. And they go together like mac and cheese, or peanut butter and chocolate. And the finale to this duology is what brings it all home. Number 9. The Minish Cap. When a member of a miniature race turns stone cold evil, Link must shrink to their size to save Hyrule in the cutest Zelda game ever until this one. The Minish Cap is a fun little title that revealed the origins of the Light Force, the Four Sword, and Vati. Number 8. Skyward Sword. I couldn't decide whether to put this one before or after the original because they're both the least good entries in their respective dimensions. The original almost won because it's far more influential, but Skyward Sword also made major contributions to the lore and is a far better game by today's standards. I have nothing but respect for the original, but despite Skyward's issues like extreme linearity and motion controls, it still serves up an excellent, satisfying, fan-servicing origin story with masterly dungeons, a fun hub world, and the silent trials. Number 7. Link's Awakening. The melancholy story of Link's dreamy castaway is the first in a line of what is unofficially known as Weird Zeldas. Instead of saving Hyrule and Zelda from Ganon with the Master Sword and Triforce, Link must awaken the Windfish to escape the mysterious island of Koholint, with or without his new friend, Marin. The Twin Peaks-inspired entry also introduced trade quests, a song for every dungeon, and musical instruments. Number 6. The Wind Waker. What was initially met with skepticism is now a fan favorite. A weird Zelda in which Link sails between many islands across an endless ocean to save his sister and rediscover a past forgotten. Wind Waker contributed the cel-shaded graphics, Toon Link, Ritos, Koroks, and some superb character development. Number 5. Majora's Mask. The darkest of all the dark Zeldas, the weirdest of all the weird Zeldas, and my personal favorite of all the Zeldas. In a direct sequel to the most legendary entry, the hero of time must stop the bewitched moon from colliding into the parallel world of Termina by reliving the same 3 days like clockwork. The story, the tone, the themes, the atmosphere, the characters, the settings, the music, the 3-day cycle, the masks, the dungeons, and the side quests. There will never be another entry like Majora. Number 4. Twilight Princess. Combine the epic perfection of Ocarina and the eerie darkness of Majora, and you get what I still consider the most fun and formulaically perfect entry in the series. In a story of 2 split realms being united by their usurped rulers, Twilight Princess features the best partner character, arguably the best dungeons in the series, and Wolf Link. And it still sports the most realistic graphics of the whole series. Number 3. A Link to the Past. Still considered by some to be the very best entry, Miyamoto's last directorial role in the child of his childhood blessed us with so much. The lore, the music, the kingdom, the Master Sword, alternate worlds, and a whopping 13 dungeons. The traditional Zelda story is a classic tale of good versus evil, and it's still a flawless blast to play 30 years after its release. A Link to the Past holds up as an industry landmark and the quintessential 2D Zelda.
So, it's come to this.
I'm gonna have to explain why 1 is number 1 and why number 2 is Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, B-dubs, was the breath of fresh air the series needed. It's a big, modern, open-world Zelda, and that novelty and quality will never wear thin. The cooking, the weapons, the physics, and that massive map. However, it's too early to tell its influence on the series or the industry. Additionally, there are several things holding it back, like the so-called dungeons, the lackluster story, the absence of item-based progression, and the f***ing rain. Number 1. Ocarina of Time. Still the greatest and highest rated game of all time. Not just in the Zelda series, but in all of gaming. There's no limit to the contributions it made to both the series and the very discipline of game design. From lock-on targeting to Epona, from the timeline split to laying the blueprint for all 3D adventure games. Ocarina of Time is a coming-of-age story about the boy without a fairy who grows up to be the man who saved Hyrule. And it remains the perfect Zelda game, from its world design to its dungeons, from its epic and symbolic story to its fun and fine-tuned mechanics. After all this time, Ocarina of Time still holds its title as the greatest game of all time and the dopest Zelda of all time. Now, unless you think Breath of the Wild is better than Ocarina of Time, this list is pretty airtight. Also, you're wrong. I don't know if Ocarina will ever lose its crown, but if there is a perfect 100 game out there, I want to play it. And I'll bet all my rupees that when that game comes, it will be yet another entry in this legendary series.